Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for January 24th, 2017. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES right now. We really look the same as we've looked over the last few weeks. We've basically coiled up within a very tightly congested trading range here. Anytime you do this, obviously the market's in a wait and see mode. It's holding. It's in a holding pattern. And as the market holds, you have to kind of hold off from these major directional swings and just kind of play the smaller intraday moves. Obviously, I've mentioned how bears have been defending the previous month's high at many turns here, every single time it tests it. But every time price dips below key support levels, bulls have been there to bring it right back into the range. So again, bears aren't getting paid on the way down. A lot of buy stops are building above 2280, and if there could be a push beyond 2280, we could be looking at the next big push up to the next upside key levels. Obviously, anytime you have a range like this where an LVN is forming down here, any push into that LVN offers a buy opportunity as well. So again, we're just kind of in a wait and see mode to see how this thing continues to shake out. I'd be cautious on the first breakout out of this range, as the first breakouts can be oftentimes a false move ahead of the next true breakout in the opposite direction. So right now we're going to continue to watch this range here as it develops, and if we look at the intraday time frame right now, you'll see that the previous session we talked about fading new highs, fading new lows, and that's pretty much how it played out. Early on we got the quick fade off the high and we dropped down. Here's the overnight low. Price pushed until we got into the previous session's low, and that's where it finally found support and bounced back to value and just kind of chugged on. So again, you can see that the fade new highs, fade new lows trading range approach has been in effect still, and that may still be the case right now. You can see that anything between 67, 68 right here, very thin in the profile. That's the previous close right there, previous week's close. So any push into that area, at least on the first test, bears would like to rotate this thing back down. If there's any acceptance beyond 68, there's going to be a big test at 72s, but again, those stops start to come up above 2280, and that's where the real expansion can occur. So on an intraday basis right now, you can see we're just chopping around the thick portion of the 5-day profile. You got to be very careful here and wait for price to move to an edge. Moving to an edge into 67, 68 offers an opportunity to fade. Moving down to the edge into 2251, 2253 offers an opportunity to fade it back up. Until then, there could be a lot of chop in this middle portion, so just stand off. All right, let's take a look here at crude oil. Looking at crude in the higher time frame, very similar here as well to the ES. Tightly coiled action, not a whole lot of range over the last couple of weeks, but we are clearly building energy for that next big move. Something I mentioned to our trading room is the previous month's close here. Prices remain below it most of the month, and every time we've gotten above it, it's been offered back down. However, these bears have not gotten paid, and you see higher lows. And to me, that tends to imply that you could see a major squeeze coming. So again, I don't want to anticipate the squeeze, but right now, above 54s could open the door to new highs if price can start to push through that zone. Likewise, 51.67 remains a major level to watch. Failure to hold that level could rotate to the bottom of the edge here. So right now, we're right in the center of the range, makes it very difficult to do much of anything. But energy is clearly building, and we have to be patient. Here's a look at the intraday time frame. On an intraday basis right now, you can see that price is holding on short-term support at the moment, 52.70, and that rotation off of this has led to new highs. Right now, we're seeing a little bit of strength off that area short-term, and that could lead to a rotation back to these highs. If so, bears would be looking to defend the previous week's close and bring it right down. So right now, that's the trading range, 52.70 up to about 53.30. That's the range. Failure to hold 52.70 re-auctions back to 52.20. That's basically the same range we were looking at in yesterday's market as well. So continue to watch those edges, 52.20 on the lows, 52.70, 52.30 on the highs, and that 52.70 right here in the middle. Those are the key levels to watch short term for this market, and outside of that range could lead to expansion, at least near term. All right, let's take a look at gold futures. Here's a look at gold. On a higher time frame, one thing I mentioned the previous session was to watch the previous week's high price. Previous week's high was being rejected, at least short term, but it didn't lead to a full-on rejection. Price actually closed very close to it. Here's the previous week's high. And then you can see here in overnight trading, price attempted to push beyond it, hit 2020, and then rotated right back toward the previous week's close. So again, our idea was that we would likely stay within this range and perhaps test both edges of the range while maintaining an upward trending bias. So basically this upward trending bias, very strong. I mentioned before that pullbacks are to be bought for a continuation into 1240. So I still believe 1240 could be the target to strive for up ahead. And any pullbacks, especially failed acceptance below the previous session low, that could offer an opportunity to squeeze into 1240. Now, any rotation back into 1200 likely to be defended. So even if we do move across the range, again, expecting bulls to defend within this current uptrending market. So the flow is still to the upside, and we're still looking at the potential to see a move into 1233 and 1240. Here's the NQ. Right now, the NQ holding at highs, sitting up here above that 50-40 half key level, and you can see the range not very sexy here. I mean, it's got a lot of jiggle back and forth. You can see it's just kind of holding at these highs, kind of a kurtosis here on the profile where it really sticks out here and not a whole lot going on either side of it. So again, that's not super favorable at the moment. We have to continue to see how this develops. Obviously, the trend is to the upside, the flow is still up, and that's going to be the case until proven otherwise. And as I mentioned before, if this thing continues to hold here, we could be looking at new highs yet again. Any rotation even into this LVN, into 49.60, could still offer a great buying opportunity to bring it back up. So right now, still bullish, still trending higher until proven otherwise. All rotations down need to be defended for a continuation back to the upside. As you can see, the previous session here left behind a bullish tail. Didn't quite get into the previous week's low and closed way back above the pivot range and above the previous week's close. So again, very bullish right there. I'd watch the midpoint of the session here, the midpoint about 50-50, because if price pushes into the midpoint of the previous session's rejection tail, that could offer at least a day trade back up, if not offer the potential to see new highs as well. So looking at that on an intraday basis right now, let's bring it up. The midpoint again, 50-50 right here. That's also near the previous session's closing VWAP, which would be value. So again, should price rotate into this area right here, keep an eye on 50-50 for a shot at rotating it back up. That could be about a 20 handle trade and perhaps even more, at least short term. So watch that. Until we do that though, we could see a lot of chop back and forth. We have to watch for price to move to an edge. The previous week's low right here, 50.25, also offers a fantastic edge to defend for a rotation back up should price fail to hold that 50-50. Okay, that's it for now. Let's see how it plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.